let's get to the NBA draft last night. I don't think it was a particular surprise to anybody, but Jacob, can you give me the call of Cooper Flagg going number 1 overall in the NBA draft?
With the first pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg from Duke University.
I love it. Not surprising to anybody unless you put an inordinate amount of money on it. Because I think at one point it was like 10,000 to 1 or 10,000 to 1 where you'd have to put $10,000 down to win $1. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but it was ridiculous odds. All right, now we almost saw Cooper Flagg a little bit earlier in the draft broadcast, in the pregame and the red carpet and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to cut number 1. This is ESPN introducing Cooper Flagg not once, but twice inaccurately.
Welcome back to Sports Center. You're looking at Cooper Flagg, and in just over an hour from now, that is not Cooper Flagg at all, actually. That is quite famously Ace Bailey. There's Cooper Flagg. I was going to say no, that's not him either. That's not Cooper Flagg.
So
they wanted it to be Cooper Flagg so bad. Please be Cooper Flagg.
And
nope.
Instead it was Ace Bailey, and then it was Dylan Harper. And so how do you think they could tell it wasn't Cooper Flagg?
That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe they thought it was his twin because he does have one of those.
He does. Do you think it was the height? It was what he's wearing. He was wearing a different suit.
It was the clothes and the height.
Okay.
That's really all I have.
Okay, that's good. Let's play this one more time, and I want to pause it. All right, let's go back. ESPN is introducing Cooper Flagg.
Welcome back to Sports Center. You're looking at Cooper Flagg, and in just over an hour from now, that is not Cooper Flagg at all, actually. That is quite famously Ace Bailey.
All right, pause. All right. Once you introduce it incorrectly the first time, do you not use a little bit of caution the next time? Because back it up just a second or two. When she reintroduces Cooper Flagg again, still, you've only seen the shoes and part of the pants.
That is quite famously Ace Bailey. There's Cooper Flagg. I was going to say no, that's not him either.
Feels like maybe you should have taken the extra second or two.
Somebody's in her ear going, okay, this one's Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
And she's trusting that person.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no way you trust that person after the first flub.
But here's the question. Was that a dumber thing to say than the audio we're about to play? Now, keep in mind, one just happened. The other one was planned and thought out. Let's go to cut number 27. This is Nico Harrison.
Oh, geez.
Discussing the skill it took to get the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I was extremely surprised. All my draft prep up to that point was, us being in the 11th position. So but things happen. Fortune favors the bold. So exciting things fell our way.
Okay.
That is so bad, dude.
Or you can view it as his coded message to all of us that the draft lottery was rigged. Because when he says fortune favors the bold, I feel like he's trying to send us a message that, yeah, that's why I traded Luka, because they promised me I would get the number 1 pick. All right, but that's my tinfoil hat on. Otherwise...
Which I think is very still on the table.
Yes. By the way, they mic'd the crowd a little too well, because when Adam Silver was walking up, you could hear him go, Dallas was rigged! Dallas was rigged! And so, again, I don't totally disagree with that. But what do you think about Nico Harrison stepping out? And, man, he's got a lane, and he's sticking in it, and I like it. But stepping out and being like, fortune favors the brave. And that's why they got the number 1 pick.
It is maddening, the fact that he is now going to take some level of credit for the way this whole thing played out. And he will be defiant and just sort of rub our noses in it. Like, no matter how bad of a move you think that was, it was actually fantastic. And this is why. When you make big-time, bold, and brave decisions like I do,
that's right,
then you would understand. But you can't do that. You can't understand that. So just say thank you and go buy your Flagg jersey.
All right, now we have one more option for you, though. You might think that is the dumbest statement that was made.
I totally get. Like yesterday, we were talking about like we're moving on. Like we're more Cooper Flagg happy than we are Nico frustrated.
It doesn't help.
It kind of swung the other way. Notice I'm not. Am I wearing any Mavs gear today, Hagee?
You heard it.
No, it's a middle bird to Nico. You just don't want him to be right. I don't want him to.
I get it.
I do hate the idea that he's going to find some level of success out of this.
And like Anthony Davis is going to be the Finals MVP. And
oh my god!
Son of a gun! All right. So we're going to have Mike Curtis from the Dallas Morning News on at 1 p.m. He tweeted this out. This was the first question from the combined media of Cooper Flagg's post-draft availability. So not the little interview that they did, as soon as he got drafted, he's like, I'm super grateful, all that. Cooper Flagg was asked about the conspiracy theory that the NBA gifted Dallas the number 1 pick in exchange for trading Luka. That was the first question that got asked by Cooper Flagg. Listen to this guy. He's a pro already. He said, quote, "No, I don't know what to say about that. Like, I have no insider information if that's what you're looking for, but I just feel blessed for the way it all worked out." That's a pro answer.
That is a pro answer. Do we know who is the one? I wonder who.
We need to ask Mike
who asked that question. Yeah. And I would imagine that would be a national reporter that's not going to have to see and deal with Cooper Flagg.
You don't think it was a guy from Maine who thought the big story was it a conspiracy?
Yeah, because that would be pretty ballsy for a local, like if it's a Mavs beat writer.
Yeah,
asking that question, getting off on that type of foot with Cooper Flagg.
I just love I have no insider information if that's what you're looking for.
Right, I'm not Brian Windhorst, bro.
Yes,
I'm not Shams.
Absolutely. On the answer to that. All right, let's stick with Duke for just a second. We talked about how this could be the case yesterday. Con Kneppel really rocketed up the draft board in the last few days. He went ahead and went number 4, and then Malawach went number 10, which means that Duke had 3 of the top 10 picks. They still didn't win the title. And this is the third time that they've done that since 1966, or a team has done that. 2007, Florida, and then 2019, Duke accomplished those feats as well. And then Duke also has by far the most number 1 draft picks of any team since the expansion era. They have 6, and the next closest, I believe, is Kentucky at 3 for number 1 overall picks.
Yeah, I was impressed. They threw up the graphic there last night, and I was like, oh, wow. All right, yeah. They have had a nice little number 1 run here.
They have. Do you want to know a fun fact about all the number 1 picks that they had?
Yes, I like fun, and I like factual information, Hagee.
None of those came after a national championship season.
How about that?
The closest one was 1999 with Elton Brand, where they had lost 1 game all season going into the championship, and then they lost. So just a weird factoid for you right there. All right. Speaking of Con Kneppel, what do we think about the naming of all of the kids? And so he has 4 brothers, and it's Cash, Cager, Con, Kinston, and Kidman. And then he said in the draft, his dad, I believe, was one of 6 kids, and they were all named with a K as well. So what do you think about keeping that family legacy alive? And then I want to tell you what TikTok had to say about all of them lined up in their suits.
I will say that was one of the funniest parts of the night, just watching his brothers standing there. They're all younger than him,
yes.
So they're like, they're not used to this. They don't know how to handle it. The younger brother has the mic in front of him. He's still answering a question from McNutt, and then McNutt pulls the mic away.
I'm done.
He's like, I'm done with this. He's still talking. They're all confused. Nobody knew what to say. Me and my wife were just sitting there cracking up at that whole thing. I'm like okay with the K stuff. I mean, you see it all the time with families where they all have the same letter.
For sure.
It's like, fine. It's just the names that they chose. They have a kid named Kidman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, they do.
They took Nicole's last name and said, my son should be his first name. You know, that's a little
really
frustrating.
Eyes wide shut. They're like, we got to make it happen. So,
and the internet's all wondering whether or not the middle names, like, you can't go K with them.
Oh my God!
Like, what's the middle name for these kids?
No, anything but that.
That has
I don't
you
care.
have 25 letters to choose from.
Yes, any of them but that. So here are some samplings from Twitter. Con Knepel's brothers look like a group of TikTok creators who go to Walmart to get on the intercom. Next one.
Nailed it.
The Knepel brothers are dressed like Color Me Bad. Hall of Fame career loading. I love it. But this is my favorite one, especially since they were lined up. Khan's brothers look like a bunch of well-dressed Russian nesting dolls. Because
it just kept coming
one,
out
yeah.
of the next one.
And so I definitely got a kick out of that. His brothers stole the show. Again, I'll be fascinated to see how he does, because I think he's a great facilitator, and he was an excellent college player. I don't totally know how all of that's going to translate into the NBA, especially at pick number 4.